Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, President and founder of Agile Dad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Stand Up. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Today, I wanted to discuss with you a question that I seem to get all the time when I'm speaking with teams regarding their relationship with leadership in the organization. One of the trending things that I'm seeing is that many organizations are struggling with estimation, forecasting. They're struggling between equating or trying to associate story points with time, and they're really having trouble building a bridge so that leadership has a clear understanding and ability to forecast, while at the same time, the teams in the group feel comfortable not being pigeonholed into an exact estimate for why things or when things are going to be done. And I think that the misnomer here, or the broken piece of the puzzle, is that when someone asks you, how long is that going to take? Many times, if they're a leader, that's not really what they're trying to ask. Oftentimes, when someone asks how long something's going to take, what they're really trying to ask is, when can I expect it to be done? And I think that, in all honesty, if you put it into perspective, position yourself as a leader for a moment. Picture yourself being a key stakeholder, a vice president, a director, a CEO. And if you approach someone and ask them, how long is that going to take? Do you really think that they want the answer that it's going to take Joe and Tom and Barbara 6 hours and 12 minutes each to? That's not what they're asking. And I think that sometimes we get caught up in the devil of the details and we don't express what they're really trying to seek. And I think that it's the responsibility of the Scrum Master to help protect the team or the Agile coach and help people interpret what leadership is really asking for. It's very similar to when a stakeholder asks a product owner to build something. Without any why behind the what, we can end up building the complete wrong thing if we don't understand who our target customer is, what the need is, what problem it's trying to solve, or what value it provides. So I think this is another one of those questions where we have to really address the intent of the question more so than the question itself. In the case of leadership, when they ask, so how long is that going to take? What they're really trying to ask is, what am I going to get? When am I going to get it? And how much will it cost? Because those are the three factors that really lead towards them having the ability to be predictive, them having the ability to forecast, them having the ability to satisfy questions from outside people. And this isn't a new problem. I want to make sure I talk about that real quick. I think that, as far back as I can remember, even the 2005, 2006 timeframe, those questions have always been the same from a leadership perspective. What am I going to get? When am I going to get it? And how much is it going to cost? But it wasn't until the evolution of story points when this all became sort of a confused piece. Before then, people were satisfied with time-based estimates, and the time-based estimates were mostly wrong, but it still was better than whatever they had before. And as we became more agile and broke things into smaller pieces, people expected that it would be easier for people to get their head around estimating small blocks of work than it would around large projects as a whole. The problem is the project itself was not a sum of all of its small parts. So if you added up all the small estimates together, it would never equal out to be what the actual project would take. So it was one of these things where there was still points of contention and confusion that needed to be resolved. And I think that it wasn't until later when we decided that, or I shouldn't say we, but when organizations started to decide, with my and other coaches' help, to separate time from relative complexity, it made it easier for us to address the concern. Because here's the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about. When someone asks you when they're going to get something, especially from a leadership position, they are looking at it from a perspective of risk management. They're looking at it from a perspective of forecasting. They want to make sure that the money they're investing is going to be worth the time to meet a certain delivery date so that we can meet customers' end needs. Now, one would think that the product owner would have control of this and be able to really give good estimates. The problem is we've been taught through Agile that product owners shouldn't estimate because the team's doing the work. So I think you see what's happening here, right? So in the past, the traditional way of addressing these concerns are no longer valid. So now we need new ways to figure out how to address risk, how to address root cause, how to get things pushed through. And I think that it all revolves around who should respond and how should they respond. My vote is still that it's okay for the product owner to respond and say, based on the number of sprints we have allocated, based on the amount of work we have, you should expect to receive, a deliverable on this date that meets the sprint goal or that meets the release goal or the product goal, right? But I don't think it's safe to pin people down on an individual level or even at a team level with regard to how much time it takes to do something, because the truth still holds that different people take different amounts of time to do things. Different individuals and different teams will take different amounts of time to tackle especially challenging problems. And the myth that throwing more people at it always solves the problem isn't always true. In fact, in some cases, throwing more people at it could increase the amount of time to market because of the ramp up needed to get those other individuals to a point where they can successfully feel comfortable doing the work that's being asked of them. So it's important for us to differentiate when we can have teams that add value to contribute so that we can swarm and get work done versus adding people for the sake of trying to speed things up when in essence you're actually slowing it down. So these are times where we need to best understand what the real question is. So my challenge for you is to become more responsible when it comes to analyzing those questions and ask for clarification, ask what needs to be discovered. And most importantly, whenever someone asks you a time related question, back it out to, are we trying to meet a certain delivery date for a release cycle? Are we trying to make sure we're calculating how many sprints it's going to take for us to get this work done? What exactly are we trying to calculate so that I can give you the best answer to meet that question's concern? So I hope this information was helpful to you. As always, we encourage you to visit agiledad.com where you can learn more about this or any other topic. If you have a topic you want us to cover, make sure you reach out to us. We'd love to cover your topic on the Daily Stand Up Podcast. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.